recording setup, but I have to do this for class. This is medieval times jobs in 15 minutes or less. It's more like 10 minutes or less, but let's do this. So first thing I want to talk about in medieval times jobs is they had sort of like a rank, if you think about it. Because, you know, there were all kinds of jobs, but you didn't want to have a peasant have a good job. As I say, what's this salt? Bring me my smalt. But for people back then, they had a rank, and I would say there's about 3 ranks. Rank number 1 would be the low rank, where you would work as, you'd be basically a slave. Rank number 2 was a pretty good rank. You basically work as a blacksmith, or a baker, or a cook. Rank number 3 was the good rank, the best rank, the great rank. It's basically the queen, the king, the prince, the princess. They did nothing. That was their rank. Oh boy, I wish it was like that nowadays. Well, not really. I wish I could do nothing is what I was trying to say. Anyways, for a peasant, a job for a peasant would be like, you know, they would clean up the poop behind the horses of the king and queen. They would, be forced to work on farms. They didn't have good living conditions or anything. They slept outside, and lots of bad jobs for them. Although, like I said, the middle class was a lot better. A baker. A baker was a cook. He's kind of cooked. He made bread and stuff, and cakes and stuff. Yeah, baker was a pretty good job to have back there. I guess you can kind of put farmers in this, but farmers aren't as good as they would be in this. Think about 1860. Farmers were great. But in the medieval times, it was not as good for farmers because they're growing crops. And instead of crops, people were eating meat. Because meat is protein, and carbs, the devil, will kill your family. But, that's besides the point. Basically, they would eat meats, and farmers weren't as popular, but they were still pretty good. Other things like a blacksmith would make swords for the army, and bows and all kinds of things for the army, and well, sometimes even the prince or king for a war. Yeah, cook would cook for the town, and if you were the king or queen, you would have your own personal cook. A personal cook, I don't really know if that's a better job. I mean, you're working almost 24/7 for the king and queen, depending on how. It really depended on the personality of the king and queen. They could be really rude and be like, ugh, this is disgusting. It's cooked medium well. Bring it back. Medium. And they could be super picky like that, or they could be really nice and be like, oh, sorry, sir. This is cooked a bit wrong. May you cook it again? Or you could be the jerk, but I don't think you'd be a jerk, especially working for the king and queen. A couple other jobs was like, the king and queen had their, a receptionist, kind of. It was basically what a receptionist was, if you could call something a receptionist in medieval times. Basically, schedule meetings up with the king and queen, and all kinds of other stuff like that. They were known as a clerk. For those who know video games, clerks are not receptionists, but they are healers. That's a little video game knowledge for you. Yeah. It was a pretty, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I keep saying yeah. But that was some of the medium jobs. I'll talk more about them in detail later. Now, king, queen, prince, princess, I guess there was one more class I forgot, which was in between medium and high. I'll talk about that after this. High. King, queen, princess, prince, they didn't have jobs. They sat there, some of them actually did work for help, but those are only the nice kings and queens. There weren't many of those, but if there were some. There were definitely some good people who ruled. Yeah. That's just it. There's just good people who ruled around the land. I have to check the time on the camera. 4 minutes. Hasn't been long yet. We got a long way to go, people. A long way. Yes, I'm sitting in my room recording this video. I have pants on. Don't worry. Another thing that the rank that was in between high and medium, I'm gonna call the best rank, the second best rank. I'm gonna call it the best rank for people who aren't the king and queen. Now, this rank was good because that means you worked as like a knight or like served the king and queen in some way or another. That was good because that means you basically stayed there. Now, it wasn't great because you kind of slept on the floor, but still, that's better than being a peasant and sleeping outside. Even some of those merchants that I was talking about earlier sleep outside. If I didn't mention the merchants, I thought I did. Merchants were people who would go around and set up their little tents, and you would buy stuff from them. I don't think I mentioned merchants anymore. Yeah, you would just buy stuff from them. They would have all kinds of stuff, meat, food, anything you really want. Merchants were all around. Sometimes they would travel, sometimes they wouldn't. Basically, they would sell stuff, weapons, sword, jewelry, anything you really needed. Food. Water. Yeah, I probably didn't sell water. But, yeah, that's merchants. Yeah, some merchants live outside. Almost all peasants live outside. So at least you had a place to sleep. And if, like I said, if you were lucky, you served for a nice king and queen. But most people probably weren't lucky. Yeah, and serving for the king and queen, I mean, I guess it can't be that bad. But if you mess up and yell at them or get mad at them, it's not going to be a fun time for you. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to go any more in depth on that. One of the many things, other than ranks, on jobs was how well you did on the job. That's really what it depended on your pay. Because if, let's say you're a blacksmith, right? And you're welding a sword for a knight, or just like a traveler. And welding a sword for a traveler, he says, if you make me a good sword, I'll pay you 16 gold. Probably not, that's actually a lot of money for a sword. But he says that. If you make him a sword that he wasn't like anything to what he recommended and it broke in a couple of hits, he's not going to give you the money. He doesn't have to. That's the thing. If you were a merchant and you did something wrong, they don't have to give you the money. It's just a thing they don't have to do. They could. You mean, they could be nice and do that, but I mean, it's not really, that's just being really generous and nice. It's not being like, oh, thanks. It's like not being mean to somebody if you're not paying them because they didn't do the job you asked them to. Most people did good jobs, but some of the merchants sold rotten food, some of the blacksmiths made awful swords, and some people just weren't very nice about how they sold it. The jewelry was very fake sometimes, and scammers exist even back then. Let's see, what else can I mention? So if you had a job for the king and queen, you didn't really get paid. You just kind of got the luxury of making your own food and stuff like that. And you were a servant, you served, you made food from the cook. You were a cook, yeah, you get it. You were a cook, you made food for the king and queen, and you ate your own food. What else was there? Let's see. If you were a something else for the king or queen, stuff had happened. Lots of things could happen. Anyways, if you were a peasant, you weren't getting money because you're most likely a slave, and if you were getting money, wow, you're some lucky peasant. You weren't getting money, most likely, because you were a slave. And other than not getting money, you were also probably in a really bad living condition. Sleeping outside with the animals, your bathroom was probably an outhouse, if not the outside. And you were just treated bad by anyone and everyone. I got an itch on my side. But let's just say you had a good peasant life. Like, you actually made money, you weren't treated that bad, and the people who, like, assuming you were a slave, maybe, no, I guess you could just be working for someone and not be a slave. And maybe the people inside were really nice to you and made you dinner. Then maybe you could actually become middle class by the time you're 40. Yeah, that would be not bad, now would it? But almost zero peasants were treated like that. So I think only the lucky, like, 1% of peasants got that. I got time again. I'll talk for a minute or two more. Yeah, okay, so that's basically all I have to say, though. So, yeah, that's the video on the medieval time jobs. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm just joking. Please remember to enjoy this video, and also, this kind of counts as a grade, so have a good time. And to all the people who are watching this off my YouTube channel, yeah, see ya.